Tessa's on. Yes.
Yeah.
Me.
Hi, Rana. Hi, Bethany. Hi, Tessa. Hi, Carolyn. Lena, Stephanie,
I have
Jacob.
a few more people that are joining in too. I've sent them the link. I don't see them
Yeah,
in.
me too. So let's get started. So today, you girls, we're going to talk about systems for business, and we are so excited about it. We actually did a poll. Vanna and I, we posted on our profile to see what topic did you girls wanted to listen to today, and probably 80% voted systems for your business. So that's what we're talking about today. We also had like another topic was meditation, beauty tips, or like how to cook with what's on your fridge, which we will do later on because those had some votes too. But clearly the demand was for systems for your business. So I think that right now is a great time for us to work on our systems because we have a little bit more time. We can really what's working, what's not working, and what systems do we need to put in place to make our business better, right? So to get started, I would love to have Bethany share with us the systems that she has personally, because guess what? It starts with us. So we need to have a structure first and then everything rolls over. So Bethany, tell us what you're doing with your schedule.
Well, I actually did a schedule challenge, which I challenged some of my friends, and I needed motivation for myself because I was putting together a schedule and then I'm like, I can't be the only one that feels like I need a schedule. Even though I fall out of the schedule at all times, I at least have it there the day before so I can see what I need to do. And believe it or not, I feel like a lot of us are now busier because you would think like this is a time where we're not as connected because we're sitting at home, but I've spent more time in front of the computer and more time on the phone than I have probably in the last 3 months. And it seems like there's always a Zoom call back to back. So creating a schedule was super key for me over the last week. Just over in the last 3 days, I've been able to organize like calls with random agents that, let's say, we've been friends on Instagram and we've never had the opportunity to talk. And all of those calls have either led to a really awesome idea that we can implement in our business by us just sharing what we're doing in each other's market, or has opened up, avenues to like think out of the box, out of your everyday routine. So I don't know if anybody else here is doing a schedule, but everybody's talking about it now. It's like you still have to wake up, you still have to show up. If you have appointments to leave the house, I'm trying to leave the house less and less because I'm getting busier and busier on things that I need to do on the computer. And now when I leave, it distracts me and I'm like behind, right?
Right.
So just setting a schedule has been really eye-opening and sticking to it is one thing, but I've been able to tackle things like with my database. I launched my website that took years. I was supposed to build a website last year and I finally sat down and did the few little things necessary to do it. Now I've got that done and I've launched it, and now I'm going to be running Facebook ads. So like little things that you just keep putting on the back burner, if you just put those into your schedule, I'm pretty sure you can get a lot more done. So for me, that's one thing. I created routines the last year of my life where like I like to get up in the morning, I like to journal, and then I like to go to the office. I had an office to go to and I got really used to that. But since I don't have one now, I have my little space. And when I come into this space in the morning, it's go time, and then when I leave, that's that time. But whenever I'm sitting here at this desk, I've got everything that I need to fully function and operate business, my printer, everything. And that's done wonders for me because I'm a creature of habit. So like being able to show up in my apartment now and do the same thing that I was doing at my office makes me feel really good. So I mean, I worked out. I've been trying to work out forever. I finally got up an hour earlier to work out. And now I realize that I'm just a morning workout person. If I say that I'm going to do it at night, it never happens. And I can't work out at 8. I have to work out at 6 or 6:30. So like now I know that I have to get up if I want to work out. And I mean, like, you have to change your schedule with these times because like if I'm not driving anywhere, I'm not as active as I was before, and I'm just sitting at home every day, and then on top of that I'm not working out, I'm going to fall apart. Like that, your body doesn't get better when you're not doing things with it. You know, I used to be someone that was on the go all the time. And now that I'm spending a lot of time at home, I know that I have to get up an hour earlier to work out. So those are just two things that I started doing in my schedule this week that have changed my mindset, you know, because ultimately I was like, there was like mid points throughout the day where I was on such a high and I was getting so much done. And then I just like hit a roadblock. And I just felt like, cause it was just like, I don't know, like there was something wrong. And the second that I started working out in the morning this week, everything changed. Like I have energy, like I'm ready to go. And I don't get those like negative thought moments where I'm like, oh my God, we have another month of this, you know? Cause that's kind of like how I was feeling, you know? And I'm just going to be honest, like as positive as I am and as I'm going to go harder than ever before. A random moment can come out of the blue. And I truly think that's when you leave dead space in your schedule and you're really not planning and you allow like the day to take you over. And then you're like, what time is it? Like I at one point I was like, today's Monday. And I'm like, no, today's Wednesday, you know? So I'm telling you, like just changing those little bit of things and being diligent with them, making a schedule, whether I stick to everything or not, having it there and knowing like if I'm going to do a call, it can be in between this time because we have our webinar at 6. And, you know, now there's certain things that I'm doing every week. Like every week we have this. Every Friday I have my team call. Every Monday we have our board calls. We have like a little happy hour, like in this crazy time, I already have things that aren't changing, that are giving me a routine and a schedule where I know I have to show up every week and deliver. And that helps me show up for myself in my life and like even with my team when it's time to leave. So I don't know if anybody else has anything that they want to add, maybe something that they've incorporated in their schedule, but I would love to hear that because I'm like, I've been tagging all my friends and I call my friends every morning and realtors that I work with. And I'm like, what do you have in the schedule for today? You know, like I want to know what you're working on. Tell me about your projects. Tell me about your clients. Tell me about your deals. And when I feel like when I do that, it's like, it's holding them accountable. It's holding me accountable. And we're like pumping each other up for more business.
Something, you know, when you challenged me on that schedule thing, I was like, because for me it's so hard. I'm like such a rebel, right? I want to do what I want and whenever I want to, and even though there's certain things that I still have to do, like I don't want to put a specific time limit on it, but it's so important. It is very important to have like a time block so that you don't forget to do these things or overlap into not getting it done or just doing other stuff instead, because you really have to keep track of time when you have a schedule. You can't be on your phone all day or like doing all this because then you're like, oh my God, like, but I'm supposed to be doing this. So
I mean, it's really easy to get caught up.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get caught up now on non money producing activities, right? It's really easy because like you wake up and like I make a coffee and then I want to spend 3 hours doing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen. That's like making me no money, right? But like I purposely scheduled like calls at 10 every day this week because I was like, if I'm ready and I don't call at 10, then I'm already going to be in work mode. But like when I didn't do that last week, I had an hour and a half coffee and then like cleaned the kitchen for another 2 hours. And the next thing you know, it was like 3 and I didn't know what to do with my life. So I don't know about anybody else, but I need to keep myself in check. So like little things like if I have a call, and someone wants to schedule it at 1 and I don't have any calls that day, I'm like, no, let's schedule it earlier. Let's get it out the way because then things get busier. If you're a realtor that's still in transactions, like I still have transactions going. So like deals are still happening. Realtors are still calling. And I don't want to be like just getting out the shower. Like, no, like I need to be ready for the day, like at 10. At least that's how I feel. You know, everybody does things differently, but that's what's been helping me. Tell me, Tessa, talk to me.
No, I agree that I'm the same way. One of the things that I always think about with that too is it's inevitable that sometimes people have to reschedule calls. Like that's just the reality of life. And it can be really frustrating if you plan your entire day around a call at 2 p.m. or a call at 3 p.m. and then it gets canceled. And now you're like, well, shoot, I just structured everything around this. I do my best to that I'm getting things done as early as I can in the day. Like you said, I like to schedule those calls then. but I also will plan ahead, and I'll make sure that I have a list of things that I can do in the event that call gets canceled or pushed.
Okay.
So those kind of items for me are usually the things that may not be top priority items, but there's something that is like busy work. Maybe I've been putting it off, or something that I just need to check off the to-do list. That way, because it happens, especially I find in this industry, people like reschedule and cancel stuff all the time now more than ever with this state of uncertainty. So make sure that you have things that you can easily fill that time with, so that if something gets canceled or rescheduled, you're not thrown off and it doesn't mess up your whole day.
Absolutely. That's so
And
key.
so let's do a quick little poll. Raise your hand or press yes if you have a schedule, or no if you don't have a schedule right now. Janae here says she would love to share her calendar. She just started time blocking. I would love to, because I know you're great at like everything. You make everything for you, like just like Bethany. So Bethany is the same way. So I can't wait to see your calendar, Janae. Yes. Share it, please. Love that.
I don't
So
know if she can. She might not.
Janae, yeah, I can't hear you. Let me unmute you, Janae. 1 second. All right, go ahead. Janae? I think your audio or like something's not connected. Because I unmuted you, but I cannot hear you. Okay.
It's okay. We'll figure it
So
out.
That's amazing. So that's step number 1, right? Start with you and your day. So plan ahead. That's a system that you need to make sure that you're being productive, right? That you're not wasting time on non-income producing activities, like Bethany said, too much of your time. Of course, we're gonna have some that are like our personal time and things of that nature that we'll also incorporate with that, but we can track how productive are we being, and what are we doing throughout our day. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would like to talk about CRMs. So before we even get to the lead generation, which Bana will talk about in a minute, I think your CRM is probably one of the most important things to me in my business. It is, because it keeps me organized. It's such a great system, because if you don't track your leads, if you don't put them in a specific campaign, if you don't communicate with them, follow up, it's impossible to close a deal, right? And sometimes if we don't have a CRM in place and you just write it down, how do you remember who was that person? What were they looking for? Where did you leave at the last time you spoke to them? What was said? Are you sending them property alerts? Are you keeping track of them? How could you tell if they're looking at properties? All of these things are trackable with your CRM. And not only that, but if you're blessed enough, you're gonna get so busy that you don't really have the time to follow up directly with each one of your leads on a daily basis, right? So your CRM will do that for you and automate these systems that can create touches via text, via email, and then via phone call for you without you really having to do it. And when your lead responds, it'll go to your phone or your CRM or your email, and it will let you know, okay, such and such responded, this is the response, and then you can follow up, right? So that's a great tool to have, a CRM. There's many CRMs out there. The old school way was an Excel sheet, but how effective is it now these days, right? Excel sheet, you really cannot do anything unless you're super organized and you can really keep track of your stuff in there, then that's great. But a lot of us really don't have the time or the organization skills to do that. So having a CRM in place is such a great thing. So within your CRM, you should have email campaigns. So you can create 4 copies if your CRM already has one email campaign for buyers when you get a new lead, or sellers when you get a new lead, or renters, or whatever. There's different type of campaigns that you can create depending on what that lead is looking for, so that as soon as you categorize it, it'll start and trigger a campaign to do those touches for you, so that you don't lose track in communication with that client. So email campaigns are super important. And then third step is your property alerts, right? Because you can do that through your CRM as well. See, when you spoke to your lead already, then you know what they're looking for. You can set up your alerts. And for example, I use KV Core, which I love. I love, 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 because it shows you how many times the client has seen the property, which properties they've seen, if it was on their computer or if it was on their cell phone, which ones did they favorite, if they visited back my website, it tells me everything. So I love KV Core. There's other ones. KV Core and Boomtime are probably the best ones, and they're super expensive, but my brokers are Boy DXP, so they give it to me for free. Follow Up Boss is a great one too, that is not too expensive and is great if your brokerage doesn't provide one. But if you are with a brokerage, your brokerage should provide the CRM. So
I'm using Follow Up Boss. I know Ben has used Follow Up Boss too. And
right.
I think the CRM, it also, like the level of the CRM that you use also depends on the level of your business.
Yep.
You know, for many years, I lived out of an Excel sheet. Obviously, that became so overwhelming and not automated that I needed to, you know, move into a thing. But I even think, like, without knowing everybody's level right now of where they are in their business, I think what's even more important is how are you organizing your contacts, right? Because let's say you're not even using a CRM and you're just using your phone book. For the most part, like, you have leads and deals and clients in your own phone book that you're not even using. So whenever you go to store a contact, I mean, I don't store anybody in my phone unless it's first name, last name, email address, and in the notes I describe like who they are with a tag of some kind, whether it's family, friend, coworker, colleague, realtor, buyer, seller, and the year that I met them, right?
That's
so like
those hashtags is so amazing. So I do that. I do hashtags for everything too on my CRM. Like if you're there,
but if you're starting off with just your contacts, like if you haven't even used the CRM yet, like dig deep into your phone book of your phone and start organizing there. Like you can export them all out of your phone and then organize them on an Excel sheet and even put them back into your phone. But like people don't realize, like every time you save a number in your phone, that's a lead. And every time you save it incorrectly, like John, how many Johns are you gonna have in your phone book down the line? So it's like,
yes, sorry. We can hear you.
Okay, yes, perfect. So I called in from my phone. So I'm going to show you my screen just really quick, and then I'll talk about CRMs and what I do. Can you see it?
Let me see. Yep.
Okay, so basically I start my morning at 6:30. I wake up. My devotion and journal time is 6:45 to 7:30. I just revamped this, but this will give people an idea of like how to set up their time. So it's literally from the time I get dressed, grab my lunch, drive to the office, meetings. I have a time in here to check my emails and texts, a lunch, check the MLS, plan for social media. And the cool thing that I did is from certain times, I have hold times for appointments. So right now you see from 6 to 7, I have Gabby and Janae for the Zoom meeting. So making sure that you do like hold times for appointments. So I'll show you what a week looks like, because I realize when I put hold times in my calendar, I'm able to tell my clients when I'm available versus them telling me when they're available. So if a client calls me on Monday and be like, hey, I want to see a property at 2 o'clock. Hey, that time's not available, but can I show you at 5? So the pinks here are hold times for appointments. So I could literally go in here and change the hold time appointment to that client's name. So as of right now, I have a buyer consultation on this day on Zoom, and I've changed the color. So I know based on my hold times, what's available, and then when I have a color, when it's not available.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so technically I'm supposed to be off at 9 o'clock, but that doesn't always work that way. Right. But this is like a good way for me to kind of set up everything.
Yeah.
So I can take a screenshot and put it in the group.
Yes, please do. Share it with us. I love it.
I'll take a picture.
And that's amazing, because honestly, this is what really keeps you accountable and on track, you know? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to say, what you mentioned about the contacts, is that there's an app called Zapier. It's Zapier, and it basically is like a trigger app. So whenever I save a contact into my Google contacts, it automatically goes into my CRM. So I'm not doing no Excel spreadsheet because you'll never do that, you know? So it's like, I mean, I know I never won't.
Yeah.
But let's say I save your contact in my phone. I have it automatically set to whenever I save a contact into my Google contacts, the contact automatically goes into my CRM.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
So that's another way to kind of set it up if you're like kind of lazy.
You write
like
the name of it on the chat so we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zapier is a trigger app. And then Lion Desk is the CRM that I use.
Oh, okay, yeah, you lose Lion Desk. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. But you can track it to like any CRM to do different things for you. But that's how I do it. So whenever you save a contact, it automatically goes. And then in the notes, like you said, I put where I met them, how I know them, and then it automatically tags it in the CRM for me.
Got it. Perfect.
So yeah,
Zapier can do a lot more than just contacts. Zapier, you can plug it in for your Facebook ads. Those links go straight to CRM. Zapier is a good tool to use. You can create landing pages with Zapier and then use Zapier to connect.
Yeah, we're gonna go over the next systems, which is integration, lead generation, all this stuff right now. So before we go into that, I just want to close out. Also, another system to have, you could do it on a weekly or a monthly basis, is your newsletter or an email blast that you're just to keep you connected with your clients. Remember, this is a relationship business. So you want to stay in front of people. You want to make sure that they remember you, that you're there, that if they need any real estate information, you're the go-to person, right? So how do you do that? By establishing a system that allows you to communicate with them, not too much on a daily or maybe not on a weekly, but a monthly is a good way to start. You know, with a monthly newsletter where you can share articles of what's going on right now in real estate, some tips for home improvement, whatever you want to share just to stay relevant and in their face, you should do it because that's how you keep that connection with them. So basically, CRM, super important. There's bunch of them. Just Google them. If you don't have one, you need one. And if you have one, make sure that you're making the best use of it, because honestly, your CRM is gold. That's what's going to help you not just get the lead, but convert the lead to a sale. So make sure that you invest time and money into your CRM, because that's your money maker right there. So with that being said, I want to ask Vanna what advice she has for us for system when it comes to generating leads and how to integrate those leads into our CRM.
Absolutely. First off, hello, ladies. I went to like our participants to see if we had any men, but 0 men. So this is kind of nice to have like
girls,
cool,
it's like girls night out.
So so systems are actually my favorite part. You know, we can generate all the leads, we can make all the contacts, but what do we do once the lead comes in, right? So, and how do we track them, and how do we qualify, and how does that ultimately lead to sales? So in terms of, we'll start off first generating the leads, and then I'll talk more about putting them into a system and different ways of marketing during a time like this. I've been on lots of Zoom calls, so now I'm able to kind of combine all that info into today's Realtor Check-in. First off, what I'm doing personally is that I have been reaching out to clients and sending out personalized messages and phone calls. A lot of times typically in marketing, we do lots of automation, right? We'll go on Hootsuite, plug in an email, it goes out. Nowadays, I'm really personalizing it to the point where I have it in my calendar, a wedding anniversary, and I'll reach out to them. Hey, how are you? I remember your wedding anniversary. How's that going? So it's not that I'm generating leads, but I'm trying to create a nice relationship. So instead of going from client to realtor, it's more I'm trying to create a friend-to-friend relationship. And that's giving me, this whole thing is giving me a nice opportunity to become a friend, you know? So reaching out to past clients and personalized emails takes about 1 to 2 minutes. Create like a nice template and just copy and paste it, really, and then add in some nice little personalized message to it that you can't just generalize it. So past clients have been huge. Another way to perhaps provide some more value to hopefully create some leads, in my opinion, is to sending out market updates. This is a great opportune time to demonstrate to your clients that they need you, that you are a real estate advisor, and that they should use you in particular because you're providing amazing resources. You're letting them know what's going on. So you can do that through email, through social media. I particularly like email marketing because, like Jagabi said, you connect your CRM to your MailChimp, and you don't need to sync or import or anything. You put it once and it uploads automatically. So going back to your past clients and sending out these market updates, what has sold recently, what has rented, even in terms of renters, in my market at least, I'm seeing a huge jump in rentals. So I'm now focusing more on rentals. No one wants to dish out, 25, 30, 40,000 right now on a down payment. Banks are becoming a little, iffy with loans. So where's the wave right now? In my opinion, it's rentals. So now I just sent out yesterday an email. I started off with links to safety with the coronavirus, specifically with groceries, which is a huge, I think it affects everyone right now. So I started off with this link that came out from Time magazine on safety measures with grocery shopping. Then after that, I included my rental listings. Some of these rental listings are like $7,000, but it's a 3,000 square foot rental. Maybe, a family that wants to relocate, wants a bigger space in the meantime, maybe that's something you're thinking about. And they're furnished rentals. So that's something that I always did really, but now I'm really pushing that because that's the wave, right? Follow the wave, in my opinion. See what's working for you in your market. So I sent out this email, started off with the coronavirus safety concerns because we can't be too insensitive, in my opinion. And the grocery article got like 50 clicks on it, which MailChimp is great because you can track things like that. So I started off with safety, then I put my rental listings, then I threw in some market updates, mortgage updates. I threw in my class that I'm doing because why not show my clients my lead generation, the marketing agency I launched, and I got amazing feedback. Some of it was like, thank you so much. I was wondering how the market is doing. What do you think? I told them how I think we're going to see a bit of a slowdown next, 8 to 10 weeks, but I think we're going to have a very strong Q3 and Q4. So to wrap up that part of my little statement here is that all the marketing and lead generating we're doing, in my opinion, is not for the next 30 days, how we're typically in real estate do. We're marketing more for Q3 and Q4. So when all this is over, they're contacting you first and you have a booming Q3 and Q4 because they're like, hey, you know what, back in June or back in April, you contacted me and you're asking me, did you have any further questions? Did you want to see any 3 bedrooms for rent or for sale? And that way you're creating these little leads to these little one-on-one relationships that you're creating, So another email idea, in my opinion, is less real estate and more friends, right? So this is what I'm reading today. This is the workout that I'm doing. This is the article. Did you see this article? These are my top 5 of my top 5 goals, top 5 mentality checklist, top 5 things I'm grateful for. And I think once you create that one-on-one and less real estate, you create a nice, comfortable environment, and I think that's a great marketing tool, that this is my realtor and she cares about me and this is what she's doing. And perhaps if she forwards that to her cousin and that gets forwarded out to someone else. And I think creating different content right now is really key to hopefully generating some leads in the future. Right now, I think it'll be very difficult to generate leads currently unless they are past clients, maybe investors, renters, tenants, landlords. I would reach out to some of your past rental listings and see, hey, are they renewing? If not, let's put it back on the market. You send them a quick market update so they have an idea and then you get moving. Another way that I have been generating leads recently is through my strategic partnerships. I have commercial real estate partners that always send me leads, and I have been reaching out to them to see what's going on with that. I got a lead the other day. Someone wants to buy a lot for sale in Port St. Lucie, $500,000. I mean, whatever. Even if it's not my market, that's still a lead coming in. I'm going to refer it out. And that was through my commercial partners, my luxury, he does concierges, like luxury mansions and things like that. I reached out to him. How's it going? Don't forget about me. Have you heard of any leads? Yeah, Banny, you know what? One of my employees needs a quick rental if you can help him. Why not? Quick little $1,200 that I didn't have before that can easily help me out. So going back to your strategic partnerships in your life, your lenders, things like that, creating a nice rapport. Not all realtors are doing this. So the fact that you're putting in that little effort, they're going to think of you first. In terms of also partnerships, like right now I'm doubling down on lead generation. Like I'm about to launch a new Zillow campaign. They offered me half month, and for my zip code, it's a decent amount. I'm going half with my lender. So what would typically have been 700 to me is actually like 250. So I'm doubling down. I'm really using this time. I mean, I saved some money. I had some closings recently. You know, it depends on how you're doing financially. But I think doubling down on lead generation, your Facebook ads, your LinkedIn, your Google SEOs, things like that, I think are what us realtors should be doing now more than ever.
Just remember to add to that real quick before you keep going. Remember, if you do get a lead right now during this time, if you are lead generating and you are getting leads right now, these leads are really motivated buyers and sellers, because despite of the situation, they still need to buy or sell, right? So don't think, oh no, I don't want to spend money right now, or I don't want to do this right now, I'm not gonna really get leads right now. The leads that you're gonna get right now are actually better than the average leads that you would get in a regular market, because a lot of them are just looking, whatever. Whoever's looking now and really is a little bit more serious and a little bit more motivated despite of the situation. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, Gabby's absolutely right. Now I'm really seeing who's motivated. Everyone likes to be the motivated seller and buyer, but who actually is? Right now, I just reduced 3 of my listings. You know, that's who's motivated. Now we can really get to work. Now I'm getting more calls. So I think this time can really benefit showing who's really motivated and who's not. Tessa.
One quick note on that too, is something you can leverage a lot with negotiation too. I had an appraisal come back 15,000 under, and usually like a listing agent would battle you on that, right? I mean, I would at least, and they had no objection. They were like, great, we'll write up an addendum. They didn't even argue with me on it. I've been experiencing stuff like that a lot, and we're still experiencing multiple offers, like back-to-back multiple offers. I had a listing that went live the other day, under contract in 4 days, like things, as much as they're changing, and obviously there's different circumstances, I think it is important to realize, just like you were saying, Vanna, that these are the really motivated buyers and sellers, and which it makes it even better for us now. You just have to know how to work them, and you need to know what people want to hear. But it would also be good to think about how you can shift your business a bit, and finding people like investors and people that are motivated and that have the kind of liquid capital, because you can have those conversations with them, be like, look, we can negotiate even better deals right now. Is a great time for you to scoop up properties. So I think it's just about your communication with people and understanding that there are still really active people in the market.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Shifting focus. You know, I'm usually a listing agent. Now during these times, I'm working more with buyers and renters. I am still getting calls on my listings, but you know, you kind of have to shift and head to where the business is. Right now, the winners are going to be those who adapt, right? Those who can really go roll with the punches here. Something that I usually do to shift, to pitch to my investors and things like that, I'll look on the MLS, and at this point, hopefully, you know, if you've been in the industry long enough, you can spot a good deal, right? And I have some good deals, and I see them, and I pitch them to these investors. And right now I'm working on something off market, all cash, like a 2-week closing. You know, so I think if you look on the MLS, do some of your due diligence, see some of these good deals, and start pitching them to your investors, because those are the ones who can close quickly. They can bring money to you. They get the deal. The seller gets out. It could be really a win-win for everyone. Something else I'm doing is I'm also requesting reviews. This is not so lead generation, but I think it's something that we can really do in our downtime. Is I'm going back to all my past clients from like a year ago, 6 months to a year. And the ones that I slacked off of, I'm asking them to review me. Realtor.com leads, my Zillow.com leads. I know Gabby's a huge Google business reviewer. I think that right now is a good time to do things like that. Like I said, creating that one-on-one rapport, getting that rapport back, creating that friendship with clients will generate you leads, perhaps not now, but perhaps in 2-3 months from now. What else? I think that also Facebook Marketplace, like I said, so rentals I think are huge in Miami right now, Miami Beach. I'm starting to post more on Facebook Marketplace. my WhatsApp statuses, my LinkedIn. I'm even going on my LinkedIn messages, reaching out to everyone. How's it going over there? I've had some leads from 2-3 years ago reach out to me on LinkedIn, and now I'm responding to them. And obviously, I should have responded before, right? But right now, more than ever, I'm like, how's it going over there? Let me know. You know, Miami's still, we're still rocking and rolling in Miami, and just creating some buzz, right? Creating some nice buzz on my WhatsApp statuses. I've been posting my class, and I posted my listing the other day, and someone was like, wow, Vanna, how about this price? How much does a 2-bedroom typically go for? And that's what you want. You want to create some conversation to hopefully use that lead for later when they are really time to buy. So you can create leads now, create leads later. What else? Yeah, basically it. Oh, something else I've really been working on too is now with all this time on our hands, I'm starting to create more value in terms of ebooks and PDFs. So when a lead or a client or a contact or even anyone asks me anything about me and what I do, I have a nice 1-page PDF of who I am, a picture about me, my recent sales, you know, my background in marketing, where I live, where I work, some my recent listings, just something that can provide nice value back to your clients. So when these cold leads, hopefully, you know, maybe Zillow.com, Google, whatever you're doing for cold leads come in, you have something to send them, and that creates a nice rapport as well. So you're not a cold lead anymore. It quickly becomes a warm one because they know who they're working with. So now during this time, or all this time that we have, we can create things like this, you know, content to your contacts. And that's like what my marketing lead generation has been. And I've been creating a nice buzz. You know, I'm very happy when a client calls me directly, hey, Vanna, how's it going? Tell me about the market. That to me is a lead these days. You know, it's something really nice to hear, and that people are still caring. Megan, one of our good friends now, is doing virtual open houses. And virtual open houses brings you leads no matter what. Now, Miami Association of Realtors just launched this virtual open house program. I'm going to look into this, and I'm really going to get on it. Virtual tours, also big. You know, perhaps you're going to a unit, perhaps people that aren't able to look at it. I would use that same footage and launch it. I'm talking Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, your WhatsApp statuses, send it out to your clients, look what's going on. And that, I guarantee you, will generate some buzz. So working hard now to generate leads later, I think, is a mentality that I'm on. You can do your Facebook marketplace to generate rentals now. Shift the marketing to your investors, to your cash buyers, things like that.
Excellent.
If anyone has any, what do you guys think?
Excellent. I think that is definitely great ideas that you just gave us. And of course, you know, there's systems to follow within the lead generation as well, like pre-screening your buyers, you know. Well, first, where do you get your leads from? Second, once the lead comes in, what do? You screen them, you use CRM. So it's all about systems, right? It doesn't matter how we lead generate, still you need those systems, right?
Yeah. So with Follow Up Boss, with Follow Up Boss, you know, I'm really using it to create my tasks, and I assign these tasks to like everyone on my team. And that way you can create reminders. Because a lot of people, what happens is they have all this business now. They're like, I'm so busy, right? But they don't do anything with these leads. And then in 3 months later, they go with the realtor that did follow up. So creating reminders is very important. You know what, Vanna? I want to buy after the summer. I have learned in my 8 years in business that if I don't do these reminders, who's going to remember in 3 months? Oh, yeah, you know, Angelica, she wanted to buy in 3 months. No, but when you use these systems correctly, you set up these reminders. And with these drip campaigns you mentioned, you can even set them up on a text once a day, and then an email, and then another email bi-weekly. And these drip campaigns can really benefit you to systemize and automate your business so you're not there all the time, you know? I'm a big fan of working as least as possible, making the most amount of money, you know, working smart and working effectively.
And your
these drip campaigns,
reminders, like Vanna said, your CRM, you can set reminders. You can take notes to make sure that you remember where you left that at, because you're gonna have so many clients. You might be emailing them and talking to them, but if you don't write it in your notes, you're not gonna know where you left it at, right? So note, hashtag, categorize later on. So later on, after the year is over, you could go over your hashtags and see who were investors, who were buyers, how many were sellers, you know, just tracking your numbers. it also helps with that as well. So definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Now during all this, my downtime, now my marketing agency is launched, like as I said before, but now I'm partnering with other influencers to hopefully blow up my Instagram, blow up the marketing agency's Instagram. We just now are connecting with some new clients that I never had the time to do before. And all of those will generate you income, So I think perhaps thinking of a side business, perhaps you're good at cooking and you want to teach others how to cook and you're creating a nice buzz. So I think now we need to kind of dive into side things and what else are we good at? What are our other hobbies? So hopefully cross market that into sales. Because every morning I think about who can I meet today and how many contacts can I make today? Not how many houses can I sell. It's more about contacts, and everyone is a contact and everyone is eventually a sale. I have everyone in my CRM, ex-boyfriends, cousins, ex-bosses, janitors, everyone gets added into there because I want them to see what I'm doing, especially ex-boyfriends, right?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So in conclusion, yeah.
So definitely that's a great idea. Not just your clients, but your friends, your family. Especially with your monthly newsletter, you can definitely add everybody to that, even your strategic partners like Vanna was mentioning. So thank you for that, Vanna. And now I would like to ask Stephanie what recommendation she has for
Hello. All right. So,
transactions.
Can you hear me?
Talk to us.
Yeah. So let's talk about, the big part of your systems is how you stay coordinated, how you stay on top of your transactions. So one of the big things that a lot of people don't really understand or really know is when should you get a transaction coordinator or somebody to help you? Basically, you have to be real with yourself, and you have to know if you are lacking with organization or administrative work, then that's the time that you're going to want to probably get a transaction coordinator and just assist you on those follow-up emails to keep track of the things, like the contract deadlines and things like that maybe you're too busy focusing on prospecting to actually focus on. So that's one of the main things. And another thing that you can actually definitely do is look to get interns that work for you. And it could be either cheap or free even sometimes, but you can definitely get an intern who wants a lot of experience, and they would help you with some of those emails that go out and just doing the follow-ups and stuff like that. You can also even get an assistant, but it's important to know that for you to get an assistant, you actually have to be making a good amount of transactions, and you have to be at the point where you can't handle it all on your own. And then so just really focus on whether or not your budget is giving you enough room for it. Otherwise, it's probably a good idea for you to just get really, really good at your craft and starting to do all of that by yourself. And then also another thing that I wanted to talk about is what you can do to bring value, I guess, to like in this moment right now. I know a lot of people are going to ask about it. And in terms of mortgages, I know that a lot of you guys already asked this. You've seen a lot of like programs get cut out, but what you can tell everybody is that is not a reason for you not to get qualified and not to start looking now. What's happening is just temporary, and it's just a pause, and it's better for you to just figure things out where you stand in this moment than find out way later that you still can't do it anyway, and you could have been working this entire time getting yourself ready. So that's one of the big things that I'm trying to tell everybody in this moment, because we've seen a little bit of changes right now, but anyone can still get ready right now, work on their credit, get it where it needs to be, and start saving up if they need to save up. That's still a way for you to capture leads, especially within your own sphere of influence. Like all your family members are going to look to you for you to be that voice of authority. And if you know, and you say, hey, no, like this is just temporary, it's just a pause, and you still need to keep going, they'll probably be a good lead for you there.
Excellent. And now, totally, I agree with just to go back to what Steph said, totally. Transaction coordinator, if you're a new agent, I recommend that you do it on your own. You learn at the beginning, because we all need to learn how to do it. Now, if that's not your thing, it's really holding you back from being productive, or it's like too much work, then go ahead and hire a transaction coordinator. They get paid at the closing table, so you don't really have out of pocket right away. And then, like she said, when you get your assistant, could be part-time or full-time. It should be when you're financially already in a good place that you can afford to pay somebody else's salary to help your business grow, right?
I want to touch on that.
Yeah.
Transaction coordinator has like saved my life. Not only it's amazing. I'll pay like $800 for a file for one. Not only does it create so much time, it like makes sure that deadlines get met.
Yeah.
So that to me is almost everything. I'm working on a file now that I don't have a TC on because it's like a small amount. I offered something, special, and I'm dying. And there's so much I have to put up with, and I'm like, wow, this TC does a lot of work for me. So as soon as I recommend even getting one before anything, because it kind of comes out of your money. Obviously, I think $300 as around a file, as much it usually costs, can be a lot, but it really helps with little deadlines so that you don't meet them. That's like my little 2 cents on that. And a lot of and nowadays title like companies have a TC in it, which I started working with one, and they offer one in-house. They all know each other. Yeah, Chandra, especially if they're licensed agents, a lot of TCs don't like being a realtor. They don't like the going out, the appraisals and all that. They like the paperwork, and those are definitely the ones to go with. Not all of them do business the same. I worked with it's 5 of them, and they all work very differently. So make sure you guys get along well, because I had one that was like it's not gonna work out. It's not gonna work out. But others are extremely organized. They use your own systems, and I definitely think that's where it's at. And then when it comes to the assistant, I've gone through several and I've learned a lot through them. It's very important to make sure that your personalities are aligned. Have them do DISC assessments. Make sure that, your high Ds, they're like an S, maybe a C, see what works for you. And definitely for the long term, because a lot of these assistants and people claim to be this person in the beginning and they quickly change. You spent lots of time, money. It's hard to bounce back. I had one of the worst years last year. So it's very important to make sure who's your assistant, who you bring on board, because you're teaching them your ways, and then they just leave you, which anyone can leave you, right? I agree with that. But if you make calculated decisions, you can really avoid issues. Fire fast, hire slow. So be careful with the assistant. But definitely, once you're able to go for it. Tessa, you agree, right?
Yes.
And
You want to go, Bethany?
No, because I've actually spoken to you both about this topic, which is super interesting, and you both have really good stories. I think it's learning the intentions of the person, because a lot of the times you can hire an assistant, but if their intentions are not to be an assistant long, not saying that they'll stay in that place forever, but I think it is a true mentality match, right? Because there could be, you hire someone as assistant, but if they ultimately, their end game is to be you and to do what you do and be a realtor, then, that assistant role might not last long, and I know Tessa has another experience too. And it does come down to really digging deep and finding out what their intentions are, what their short-term goals are, what their long-term goals are. Because I'm on the other opposite end of the spectrum, where I've had all my new agents on my team assist me, and then they kind of graduate from that role, and then they turn into their own agent. So I almost, when bringing them on, they're my assistant, but they almost know that that's a 3-month period, and then they're gonna graduate, and then they're gonna be on their own. Because
I know that works so well for you.
It works well for me, but it also works well for them. But it's a niche. Not everybody fits in that role.
I cannot do that.
I tried too, and
it works well for me because we're super clear on expectations going in. I know they're not here to stay, and they know that they're for the term that they're with me in that training period. They know that they're there to assist. So since you're super clear on the goal, I'm not let down when in 3 months they want to be their own agent. I already knew that was the case. So it's capitalize on the opportunity for as long as I can. You're going to learn everything because you're going to work on everything, but you're going to work, and by working, you're assisting me, but you're also learning, and hands-on experience sometimes is priceless.
Yeah,
so
that works really well for you.
What to expect with them. I've never hired an assistant that I paid, but I will tell you, I'm at the point now where the next person that I bring on will be a like salary paid person, because there are things outside of the job criteria that I would want them to do, like personal things, which I can't have an agent that's assisting me handle my personal things. So there is a difference, but I will say like that's what's worked for me for now. But again, like the next person is going to be someone that can do everything, my personal stuff and everything else.
Yes, I would say I have a few things on this. I've definitely had the hard experience, like learned the hard way on doing this. So a few things about like hiring or getting help or something like that. First of all, there's lots of ways to do it. And one thing that Bethany mentioned, which she didn't talk about a ton on here, but it's important to know, even if you're not in the place to be paying somebody as an assistant, there are lots of other valuable things that you can trade off in order for somebody to work for you. I've had people that work for me just for the sake of wanting to shadow me and understand and learn more about what I do. And for some people, that is the value. So even if you're not at the financial place yet of hiring an assistant or hiring help, you can think about other like value propositions that you could propose to get somebody enticed to work for you. But the other thing here that's different is definitely having from the get-go that understanding of what their goal and objective is. For the people that Bethany's brought on, they're almost more of like an apprentice rather than an assistant, because they're not doing all of those assistant roles, and their goal is to become a version of you. If you need an actual assistant, I have found that I've made the mistake of hiring somebody who wanted to be just like me, and ultimately ended up biting me in the ass because she just kind of stole everything from me and then tried to do it herself. So I think it's really important that you have that expectation from the beginning, but then you continue to reevaluate it. You have to set up, like, treat your business like a business is something I say all the time, but you have to set up weekly, bi-weekly, monthly reviews where you're sitting down, you're touching base, you're seeing if anything's changed, you're seeing what they need more of. I have everybody do the DISC test, like Vanna said, so you can understand kind of what their personality is. But I also have them do the Enneagram test. And the reason for that is because Enneagram like tells you more about like their ways that they feel appreciated and more of the like emotional side of a personality. And the reason I find that to be important is because it goes a long way to be able to acknowledge people and like give them credit in the way that they feel appreciated. Some people like are gonna want and need some sort of like monetary bonus to feel really acknowledged. Some people, like my current assistant, she loves when people just acknowledge her work. Like she feels so great when I'm like, oh my gosh, we love what you've been doing. It's been great. I've had great feedback. Or if somebody messages me and tells me that something looks good, I'll send her a screenshot of that. And that's her, like based on her Enneagram personality, that's her favorite way of receiving like words of affirmation. So I think you have to definitely switch your hat from the worker hat into the boss hat for that second and understand how you need to manage people. Because at the end of the day, it is people management. And even if it's just one person at first, you need to learn to train and work with that person really well, because you could blow up overnight and you need to hire 10 new people. And if you don't have good leadership skills, it's going to come back to haunt you. And it can really ultimately crash your business. You get more into manager mode of constantly overseeing other people, and you're not able to focus on the things that move the needle forward, and that defeats the purpose of hiring. And then
super right.
Yeah, one last thing on that. One thing that I like to use as well, I mean, there's obviously in-person assistants, there's virtual assistants, you can use interns. There's a website, I'll post the link for it, that I use. It's called Acadium. And basically it's like virtual interns. So you pay for like a membership to the site. It's $300 for 3 months, but you get a 3-month intern. You can have them do whatever. You can put in your requirements of what you want. You can like look for people that have skills in ads or skills in like sales or skills in spreadsheets or whatever the kind of things that you're
looking for. Awesome. That's really good.
And a lot of times.
What is it called?
I'll post the link. It's called
Can you write it there so we can like also the
and send that test.
Yeah, because I do the DISC like that. I found that so important because you know the type of person that you need for it to be an assistant. You know they need to have a type of essence or seek personality. You know, very very detail oriented, and systems and plays and stuff like that. So definitely this, but I have not tried the other one that you just recommended. So you can
Okay, I'll post it in there too.
Awesome.
I have something called, which is so good that she said that. I have a blog post. I'll share it somewhere here. I call it the work language. So from the love language to the work language. Some assistants, you give them a task, they're done for the day. They know what to do. You don't have to follow. You don't have to be on top of them. Other people need a full bullet down list. Oh my God, this, and this. Time blocking. They need it handed to them. And I think once you say how they work, you get a lot more work done as opposed to how you work. I guess that's in every relationship, right? But especially with these assistants. And another thing I think about too is don't pay out like the salary in the first 2 to 3 months. I'm talking like almost 0 to free in the first a little bit. And then as things pick up, then, gradually, so that, they prove themselves. You don't spend a whole ton of money. And I think that's much more long-term, it can really last.
Hessa, going back to you, I know you can give us probably some tips about systems for our social media, scheduling and things like that, content creation. What systems do you use for that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. I'm posting these personality tests in the chat here too. But one thing that I like to do, and this is something I've literally done forever, like since the beginning of time with content, I always like to plan things out ahead of time because I hate wasting time. And that's a big thing on social media is that we can definitely get sucked into spending way too much time making one Instagram post. It'll take you like a whole hour to come up with what to say. And then you post it and you don't even get the engagement that you're wanting. So I like to think way ahead of time and make sure that I have like a stockpile, because you definitely sometimes will want to post things that are like time sensitive. Something just happened, you'll throw it up. Something exciting happened, you'll throw it up. But what's most important is that you have a stockpile of stuff so that when you don't have that going on, or when you have one of those days where you literally forgot to breathe all day because you were bouncing from thing to thing, you can copy and paste it from your note or from your document where you already have all of this stuff outlined and prepared, so that you don't ever fall off your schedule and so you can stay consistent. Because in my opinion, with really anything, but especially social media, the consistency is so important. You have to continue to show up. That doesn't mean that you have to do it every single day of every single week, but that means if you're committed to doing 3 posts a week, you post 3 times a week and you don't miss a day. So it's important to set those standards for yourself and then stick to them. So one of the ways that I like to do that is, and Bethany's seen this because this was when we first met, is I showed this example, but here I'll share my screen. So this is something that I use, and I'll explain what it really means here. So I set up like a chart. So across the top, I have 7 columns, and then I'll have 5 rows. So in those, I'm adding 6 things up top. These are my categories, and I don't know how I can share this, but I can share this with you guys somehow. So basically what I want here, you have buyers, sellers, local, decor, loans, and process. You can swap those out for anything. What I want those to be is categories of things that relate to your business and that relate to you. So if you have specific things about who you are or the skill set that you have to offer, those should be across the top there, because those are the kind of things that you want to highlight. So if you specialize in leases, that should be one of these categories. If you specialize in commercial property, that should be one of these categories. If you have something about your brand where you work exclusively with like veterans or something like that, that should be one of your things. So identify what those different pieces are that help you stand out from the other realtors and other agents that can do virtually the same things as you. And then across this side here, I just include categories of connection is what I call them. So it's a good mixture of tips, which is obviously value, wins, where we're highlighting things that you're celebrating and your successes. Trust is where you're adding different elements in there that allow people to get more close to you, connect and trust you. And then you, because I think it's so important to always pull personal elements into your content. I hate seeing those accounts, and I apologize if somebody has one right now, but maybe this is a wake-up call. You have to be sharing personal elements. Nobody wants to see business stuff 24/7. It's boring. You're probably not getting any likes, and nobody's engaging with it. So you should be focusing on tying in other pieces of who you are, or like at the very least some culture behind your brand. Don't make things look so sterile. I think it's important to have the kind of elements that allow people to connect with you, because they feel closer to you more quickly and they're more likely to turn into an actual customer or client. And then I just go through here and I fill all of these in with little prompts. So now this whole chart is filled with prompts that I can use to write my captions, write my content that I can share on any social media. So like an example of what that could look like, I see a couple comments over here. Okay, yeah, I'll share this with you guys somehow so you can see it. But so I would go down and see in this first one, I have like a home buyer tip. So when I'm writing a home buyer tip, what am I gonna pull out of there? Either use your best knowledge, because most of you guys should have that knowledge and be able to write a buyer tip. But if not, you can use another resource like Pinterest. I go on Pinterest all the time, and you can just type in like these different things. So I could type in credit boosting tips. It's gonna pull up all these different blogs and articles and other websites where I can get that kind of information. So I would just hop onto one of these. I click one of them, go to the website, and this is 5 tips for a good credit score to buy a house. Now you can source some of the information from there and write a really compelling caption. And it's important, if you're using a lot of that information, to tag those accounts, give credit where credit is due. Obviously, we're not just copying and pasting other people's stuff. But even if you don't use all of the information here, maybe it just sparks your brain and you start getting more of those concepts. So then you would go in and you just write out your caption, and I just have this big stockpile of captions that I have written, so that anytime I need something to post, I can just grab this, throw it up, and it takes me 5 seconds instead of taking 5 hours to write something. So that's personally what I like to do to make sure that I can plan ahead, is have those stockpiles. And right now is the best time to do so, because you have some extra time to use. Make like 30 of them, 60 of them. Try and write out a stockpile of stuff you could use for the entire year, so that everything is always staying consistent and you can just be swapping stuff out really easily. So that's my favorite way to get ahead on content. As far as scheduling and things, I personally don't love to use many third-party apps. I know there's a lot of cross opinions about those, but general rule of thumb is that they're pretty bad as far as the algorithm goes on Instagram, to be using like auto posting tools. So I personally don't. I choose to manually post everything, and or leverage one of those interns or virtual assistants to help with that process too, so that you're saving time and that you don't have to get too wrapped up into the like daily monotonous stuff that you're doing.
You can also
That was great.
for insights, right, Tessa? Like, for example, I don't like to use the third-party apps to post. However, like there's some to like organize your Instagram so I can see how it's gonna look, and also I can go on my insights on Instagram and see where are my followers more active at what time, and then you can use that, right, information.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like to use like Planoly or something like that, so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think especially for us girls, I find like we care more about what the feed looks like. So if you are one of those people, which I absolutely am, I want it to look really nice and cohesive, then I focus on making sure that it all kind of goes ahead. So I throw them in there too to visualize it, because otherwise it's kind of hard to see. And then making sure that you're a business account on Instagram if you're not already, so that you can see your insights, which will tell you the demographics of people that are following you. It'll tell you the times people are like engaging highest with your posts. There's so much information and data that's already provided to you just on Instagram, and you can leverage that to be way more effective with everything you're doing.
Totally. I think you shared some amazing gems with us, and if you could share that with us, then we'll probably send you, if you share your email here on the chat, we will make sure to send you Tessa's document via email on our next email that goes out with the next week's topic invitation. It will be there. So make sure that you leave your name, email, and also your social media account, so we can follow each other, right, and grow our business together. And so, we just wanted to really quickly go over good tips and systems for your business, so that you can work on that now that you have this downtime or a little bit more time, whatever you want to call it. Work on that, so I think everybody shared excellent information, and I don't know if anybody has any questions. You girls can type it right here, we can go over them. But Janae said she uses virtual assistants. That's great too, right? Like virtual assistants are also an option nowadays. Like, see, you don't even have to like really have a person right there, talk to them and be like, or like see what their personality is like. If you want something to just get done, hire a virtual assistant. That's a great option as well. So
Okay, something on VAs too, though, is that they need to be extra trained because they're not there next to you, nor they're in their car following you, shadowing you. I also tapped into the VAs, and you need a good 2 months to train everything. Like if you don't have that much time or you're not something, it's going to be it's going to be difficult. So you have a system. I mean, amazing. But I think that's something to mention. It's not just hire a VA. No, it's like, okay, this is how I want things done. This is how we do them in this template.
There's
Copy
no
and paste.
guarantee that after the 2 months they're not a right fit. I've had multiple people who have gone through VAs in and out, but I think that I think before hiring anybody, your business needs to be already created. Your systems and your structure and your business needs to be created, and everything needs to be somewhere. You don't have, if you're doing business day to day, you don't have the time to just train someone from scratch every day brand new, right? So what I learned this year is having like a place where I keep all my training material and I add to it every time. So whenever there's a new agent or someone new that is coming into my business, here's the basics. Here's how you like access things. Here's like the, you know, you can do screen share videos.
You need like a manual, right? Like we need to start
manual. If you're at the point where you're training and hiring staff, like Tessa, I'm pretty sure you have like a guide to like what you do for everything, right? But if you're at that level where you're even considering of getting assistant, you need to, is your business on paper? Like how it's structured, your systems, step 1 through step 10. If it's not, start working on that. Because that's what I had issues with, and I kept training everybody manually, and then I was doing the same thing over and over, which then puts me back and behind in my own business. You know, I don't have the time to keep training someone on the same thing. You can have it in a drive, a shared doc where it's like step 1, 2, 3, this is how you access it. You can even record your screen nowadays. So when you go and do it one time, it's recorded as an example to show the next person. Of course, new people will have questions, but there are tasks that you do every day that are repeated. And those things you should have documented so that you're not wasting so much time bringing on new people and training.
Yep, totally. That's such a good idea because like, instead of having to train somebody all over again.
It's like onboarding. Every company, when they onboard new staff, they have a process to it. And if you're already considering on bringing on a staff member, you should have the same onboarding, you know?
Yep, totally. So if anybody has any questions, this is the time to ask. If not,
everybody can put their social media handles in the chat, and we'll be collecting everybody's emails. So if there's anything that you want to recap on, and Tessa can send out, you know, her information that she shared with us. But that was great. I'm gonna be like looking into all of them.
Totally. Hold on, I can't hang up yet because I'm trying to save.
Thank you for joining, ladies.
Yeah,
thank you so much for everything.
Questions, you know,
Hi,
feel free to ask.
How are you?
Yeah. If you guys have,
if
anyone has any questions,
forward for next week.
Yes.
Me too.
If anyone has any questions, let me know when it comes to mortgages.
For next topic, we're gonna do another poll on our accounts, each one of us, so that you guys can vote on what should next week's topic be.
And also, if you guys, you know, like a little homework, if you haven't already done your schedule or planned out your content, start utilizing and like give us feedback next week on how they've either changed your business, made it better, because, you know, we would like to hear feedback on how the things that we've shared have actually helped you in your business, you know? So I would encourage everybody to apply these things to their business. And like, you know, like what is everybody doing currently that they maybe haven't been doing before? Like, what are you reading? What are you educating yourself on? Like, feel free to share with us if there's anything that has been working for you.
Exactly.
Love it. Another great call.
Another great call, ladies. And it was fun because it was all girls. Last week we had some guys in the call, but this week it was.
They just make it bad. They just make it worse.
But we appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining us and tuning in and just being together during this time. I hope that you guys learned something valuable today. and we can't wait to see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. I'm trying to save.
I'm
the
just looking
file.
at myself.
I know. I can't hang up because I'm trying to save the file with all